you going? So today on BKRsport, we are going to be jumping into a bit of a topic today that I guess, I don't even know if we've actually really delved into it before. Like, we spoke about on live streams and whatnot, but live streams are different because you're thinking on the spot. You know, here it's a bit more, I don't get distracted by other people commenting in the chat, so I can sit down and just give you my genuine opinion on what I think of the idea. And in today's video, guys, we are going to be talking about the recent rumours, the rumblings and tumblings of a potential Papua New Guinea team coming into the NRL. As we all know, this is the first year of the 17 teams of the competition, as we've previously had 16 since the Gold Coast Titans, the mighty Gold Coast Titans, up and at 'em, since 2007 when they came in. But now they kind of want to bring a new team in because of the fact that we've got the Redcliffe Dolphins now, who have come in as that 17th team this year, which does provide a whole heap of logistical issues, and also the fact, just the main fact really, is that we've got more buys to deal with, and it's an uneven competition now, and you know, it just makes it a little bit more loosey-goosey, difficult to organise, I guess, with the unevenness of the competition, which is, I guess, what we faced before the Gold Coast Titans came into the competition, but it just didn't seem as much of a problem as it is now. Just maybe the 17 teams logistically is a bigger problem than the 15 teams. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just so used to having that 16 teams now that it's I kind of do forget how annoying it was back before 2007. But yeah, look, obviously there are multiple teams that could come in, and we're not really going to be talking today about the other teams that are in the fray. Like, there is Perth, there is Adelaide, there is another New Zealand team. You know, there is the North Sydney bloody Leeches and the Bears who are trying to latch onto literally any name possible to try and get themselves back in so they can weasel their way to removing them and then just having their full club in North Sydney. I see right through it. Everyone should see right through it, but it is what it is. You know, we're not going to talk about those Muppets today. Today, we are going to be talking about Papua New Guinea and the fact that there is a potential that they could come into the competition. Now, you guys know I do all the live streams for the Rugby League World Cup. You know, I love Papua New Guinea, and every time we do a Papua New Guinea stream, their fans are just ginormous. I actually think that they're the number one fans in the game for support at the Rugby League World Cup, and for their players in general. I think that Papua New Guinea does actually edge out Tonga, even though, you know, Tonga is absolutely unbelievable and fantastic as well. Papua New Guineans, that's their national sport, rugby league. They really do care about it, and it would be a massive and an amazing moment for the country to have a team in the actual official competition, because they do have the PNG Hunters, the Papua New Guinea Hunters, that are in the Queensland Cup. Now, the last couple of years, they haven't been doing too well. I guess you could actually utilise COVID as a bit of an excuse there. However, you know, the last couple of years haven't been great. But with that being said, they have actually won it before. They have won the Queensland Cup, a few years back before COVID. And, I do think that it would be in an ideal scenario, the best option, right? In an ideal scenario. But there's going to actually be, unfortunately, things that I say today that is going to go against it. And I am, unfortunately, going to be saying that I don't actually think it's a viable option to be bringing them into this competition. It's a hard one, man, because I know that there's so many people who do want it. And I guess it's just like that, the flashy new thing that people look at. It's like when the Titans came in 2007, the crowds were massive, and although they have a bigger crowd than 50% of the league, the bottom 8 is where I got that number there. 50% of the league, Titans actually had better numbers last year and in the bottom 4 side, which is actually quite impressive. You know, the Roosters were even below them. You know, but for the original part, the Titans had a heap of fans and a heap of people that want to just go and see that new thing. You know, everyone loves something fresh, right? The Dolphins will have that for the next couple of years, 2, 3, 4 years. The Dolphins definitely will have that. We'll see how long it does last. And now people are looking to that next best thing as well. And look, I understand that people will ideally like Papua New Guinea to come into the competition. However, you've got to also look deeper into, I guess, if it's a viable option financially for one, logistically, and if it makes sense for the competition. Right, Anthony Albanese, he's come out recently and said, I believe that, Papua New Guinea should come in. I think it's a great option. But if you actually look at that for what it is, it's actually a politically motivated conversation that he brought up there, because he was currently in the middle of like a security pact and, defense treaty. And, there's the politics there is what really, motivated him to come up against it. So don't necessarily listen to what he says and think, oh, okay, yeah, legit. If the Prime Minister's saying something, then it's probably a good option, because he's just trying to get the officials to be on his side and be like, oh, yeah, okay, no, he's a good bloke. He's looking after our country. I don't really think he gives a shit. Big Rabbitohs fan, but I don't think he really would give a shit about that, because I think that realistically, if we're talking on a perfect situation, I actually do think that the number one priority right now should be Western Australia, and it should be Perth, because they have been knocking on the door for a long time now. And I think that making it the national competition before going international again is probably the priority. But the issue with Papua New Guinea, right, is that although they have the best fans in the game, and although they are incredibly passionate, it's not necessarily the safest country for tourism, right? It's not really a tourism country. And this is being said with all due respect for any Papua New Guineans listening here, because you guys know, if you watch my channel, I absolutely love Papua New Guinea. But with all due respect, Port Moresby might not be exactly the safest place to go, right? And you look at everywhere here, and I guess Penrith's not exactly the safest place to go, but it's a little bit of a different story, if you know what I'm saying. Very, very different story between Port Moresby and Penrith. It's just... There's a reason why a Queensland Cup team last year didn't want to travel back to Papua New Guinea for safety reasons and for danger reasons. There are issues in regards to a lot of things politically in the country that do unfortunately lead to becoming an unsafe environment potentially for tourists who are supporting against the home team, and secondly also for players who are on the opposition team, and thirdly it would create such an amazing atmosphere for the home team. Absolutely, it'd be incredible, and I think that eventually this can be rectified. But right at this very moment, there is a lot of issues that need to be sorted out within the country before I start to think that maybe it's safe for us to send, the Gold Coast Titans over, which means that I'm going over too. And although I want to visit Papua New Guinea, I really do. I want to go there. I don't necessarily believe it'd be the safest to be jumping up and celebrating in that country, sold out stadium, where people are so passionate, so riled up. And I get it on my streams. I get a lot of people, I get Muppets on my streams talking shit all the time, right? I just don't know about how viable it is for that factor, which is a huge factor right now, Another thing is financially speaking, right? Now, not only are you talking about the actual team itself, but you've also got to think about the other teams and the NRL itself as well, because you've got to figure out, firstly, how does the NRL make money from this, right? Because, with all due respect, Papua New Guinea also isn't exactly the wealthiest country. It's not, right? Not everybody has a TV, right? Most people go and they clamor around a TV, which is incredible viewing, man. It's incredible to see the passion that they have, and they get up at all hours in the morning and they go and watch it at a hall. I know what it's like. I'm in Fiji. I know what it's exactly like in Papua New Guinea. Fiji is very, very similar. But, they all go into that hall, they watch it on the one TV, and then they go home. Where do you actually get the money from there, right? Where's the money come from that? In regards to, most of the time when people are... I just don't genuinely believe that there is a benefit of advertisement in that setting, because there's so many people talking, there's so many people around you, it's just too loud to even focus on what's going on the screen besides the rugby league, and you're probably not even going to be able to hear the commentary. You're not going to be able to hear anything because everyone's just so pumped up and so rolled up behind the game. It's just going to be an absolutely insane atmosphere. So it's great in that regard, but I don't think there's any benefit for the advertisement there, because you're not really actually seeing what's coming onto the screen, in my personal opinion. That's just coming from a person who watches sport all the time, and I'm busy doing stuff, and a lot of other people are busy doing stuff. They're either on their phone. Most of the time they're on their phone, right? But it's a different aspect in Papua New Guinea. So I'm not too sure the financial aspects there of the NRL and the benefits that they're going to find through advertisement, and this is for companies as well. Secondly, traveling, right? Now you're going to have to send every single team not only to New Zealand once per year, but you're also going to have to send them to Papua New Guinea once per year, right? And that's another country as well, and far up north. I don't think it would matter too much for Gold Coast, Brisbane, and North Queensland, because obviously they're really close. It's a simple flight up there. It's still extra expenses, but it's a simple flight up there. Then again, this issue does come in with Western Australia too. This issue to defend Papua New Guinea is an issue with Western Australia, where you've got to think about all that as well. But then again, Western Australia, I believe, would have the finances capable of them flying across, right? I worry about not only the other teams, because the other teams are realistically a little bit of a small thought process here. The biggest problem is, will Papua New Guinea have the money to travel everywhere around the country? This means, will Papua New Guinea have the financial capacity to go through Queensland, to go over to New Zealand, to go to Newcastle, to go all through Sydney? There's Melbourne, there's Canberra. Do they have the financial capacity to be able to fund this team? And I understand that sponsors will come on board, but we'll get to them in a second. I understand a few things in regards to there will be extra money coming through, but it's not going to be on the same level as the ownership that we see, unless a multi-billion dollar or many million, $100 million individual goes and buys Papua New Guinea. I don't necessarily believe that everything involved, they're going to have the financial capacity to have everything go in line with each other and be able to fly to all these places, but also, the accommodation, you've got the travel as well, you've also got players that you've got to pay, you've got organisational members you've got to pay, you have to pay, there's just so many things you have to pay, right? So you need a really hefty investor to come in and I would love to see it, but I just don't know who's going to invest into this Papua New Guinea team unless they're a Papua New Guinean local, right? And this is one thing that I want to put in as a benefit here, and to clarify for people who keep saying, but Papua New Guinea aren't going to get signings. It's not about signings. It never has been about signings, and it never will be about signings. Papua New Guinea don't come into the competition for you to see Cameron Smith go there, or Billy Slater go there, buddy Jonathan Thurston go there, Darren Lockie go there. That's not the point at all. No one's there for that reason at all. It's to build through the country, to provide a system for the players, which ultimately will improve their international side, but also you do get that extra audience. You do have an audience, but it's just the audience is not going to be actually the right numbers, because you would be assuming based on how many people are actually watching it with their friends and family and whatnot, very different to the lifestyle that we live here in Australia and I guess New Zealand. But to clarify, they would be bringing up players from their Q Cup team in the Hunters. They would be bringing up their locals from Papua New Guinea. And I don't even necessarily want to see, Aussie guys or Kiwi guys or whatever, Fiji guys going there. I want to see a Papua New Guinean team. That's really the whole point. It's the exact same with the Fiji and Drua in the Super Rugby, right? There was one guy in Baden Kerr who was a white guy, and everyone thought he looked out of place. I don't think he plays for the Fiji and Drua anymore, but it was quite funny how 99% of the team was Fijian, was local, and then Baden Kerr was there, who was a white guy, and that's there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Like, if you want to do that, you want to do that. It's just funny how people now understand that it's not about bringing in the international talent. It's about growing the talent from within. And I think that'll take a few years to really appreciate. But overall, yes, I'm not thinking that Latrell Mitchell would ever go to Papua New Guinea. It's not going to happen. And that's not the point of why you would bring in Papua New Guinea in that regard. I want to bring up something that's quite tentative. A tentative topic. And it's going to be about money. It's going to be about finances. I don't like talking about financial situations and aspects of certain societies, because I don't want anyone to think that you're any lesser as a society just because you're not known to have much money. It's like a lot of, here in Fiji, there's not a great deal of money around. It's a tourism-based country, right? And with Papua New Guinea, there isn't a great deal of money amongst the locals as well, but none of that is said with any disrespect. It is what it is. It just is in Papua New Guinea, very similar to a lot of the islands, right? Because there isn't the same benefits that we do get in Western society of Australia, and the big society of Australia and even New Zealand and whatnot. There's just not the same positives there. And New Zealand is a little bit of a halfway mark. Like, they are definitely, very similar to Australia, but I wouldn't even say that they're not even close to that same level, because of the fact that Australia is just such a large, expansive economy, right? Now, with Papua New Guinea, we're going to talk about the sponsors a bit more. We're going to talk about sponsors, because where do they actually find their benefits, right? Because you're not going to find... If you look at most teams, you'll find a brand sponsoring them from within that area. There will be a brand within that area, or a national brand, right, that resembles something in Australia, or if the Roosters, it's probably going to be something in Sydney, Gold Coast, probably be something in Gold Coast, or at least something that utilises the Gold Coast as a main target frame, right? Because you want your sponsorship to be seen by effectively the home fans, but then also every time the away fans will come in, because it'll be one, you play teams maybe once or twice a year, right? So it's not really about the away fans. It's about the home fans with sponsorships. So the whole point of sponsorships, yeah? So who is actually going to sponsor and receive the benefit back, right, with the economy that that Papua New Guinea is in. I really... Oh, man. It's so frustrating. Hard to talk about because I don't like talking about money, but it's like, where does it come in? Where do you get the benefits? Where does the sponsor who says, you know what, I'm going to put, $300,000, $200,000, $500,000 in sponsorship towards Papua New Guinea, right? It's not for free. They still have to have benefits, right? There still needs to be something that you receive back. That's the whole point of a sponsorship. You need to see the movement in your sales effectively for you to see that it's warranted for you to be spending the money on this. So, if you're Papua New Guinean and you're watching this, which I would assume most people who are watching this are probably Papua New Guinean, tell me if you understand what I'm saying here in the comment section, because it's a worrying outlook for me personally. It's a worrying outlook that I don't know if teams like the Sharkies, the Cronulla Sharks, struggled for a sponsorship for a little bit. Gold Coast Titans have usually been pretty good for it. There are teams in the NRL who have had their struggles with finding sponsorships, and they're in the Australian economy. How does Papua New Guinea go with that? If Australian teams can struggle for sponsorships and major sponsorships and whatnot on that level, that's my biggest question mark. Regarding the fan support and the financial impact that obviously jerseys have and merchandise has and ticket sales, they will sell out. I just want to throw this out there. They will sell out. However, in Australia, I'm a member, right? So I don't really buy tickets too much, so I can't even really remember what it's normally costing. But in Australia, it's like, I think $30 Australian for the smallest ticket, the ticket at the back area that is fine, right? It's $30, which is quite cheap, really cheap actually, for a game, It's like the movies. The movies are like $24 nowadays, which is ridiculous. But, you're going out for an event, and everyone can understand that, and the economy is better there. In Papua New Guinea, the tickets will be a lot cheaper, right? I don't know what the prices were at the Rugby League World Cup, but I know I'm going to go based off of Fiji here. Is that in Fiji, you can buy tickets for legitimately $10. Fijian. $5 Fijian. Grass is like $5 Fijian. That's the Super Rugby games. $5 Fijian. So you'll get money, but we're also still not in comparison with some of the other teams in the competition, because all of this ultimately does relate to how competitive will Papua New Guinea be. Because you need to be competitive. Can you imagine if Papua New Guinea, they come to the competition and they realise they're out of their depth, because Queensland Cup is still a little bit of a struggle for them. They realise they're out of their depth. They're not getting wins. People start not turning up to games, and people start resenting them, right? Because a lot of the time, and this is in the islands, a lot of the time people start to resent a team when they're performing badly because they find it like an embarrassment and a humiliation, right? Ultimately, when they start winning again, they will publicly support them. And this happens everywhere, but it's not the same in regards to the humiliation and embarrassing. It's just people find better things to do with their lives. On the Gold Coast, if we're bad, most people go to the beach, or they go to the theme parks, or they go out night clubbing, or they'll go, to the Burley Pav with the Brimdog Millionaire. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what happens. It's just, we've just got the most amazing city on the planet. You can do a million things. There's not watching a team lose, which is what we've done for over a decade now. I struggle because they will be desperately relying. They will be very reliant upon ticket sales and merchandise sales, and how many people can afford to buy a jersey, because you're going to have to limit it, because in Australia, jerseys cost $160 Australian. $160 Australian. Not many people in Papua New Guinea will be able to afford that. Fact. Not opinion. Fact. $160 for a jersey Australian. I don't know what that translates to in Papua New Guinea money, but damn, baby, that is a decent chunk of your money. That's a decent chunk of our money, right? $160 in Australia is bullshit. Like, for just in general, right? This is going back to Aussies. You can be on a well-paying job, right? You can be on a $100K salary. $160 for a jersey, although you can afford it, that's a bullshit amount of money to pay for a jersey. I'll go down and buy, like a $50 shirt or $40 shirt, and I'll go to the game, right? I've never been a jersey person anyway. Like, I've always been like a shirt wearer or a singlet wearer kind of deal. But jerseys are exorbitant prices. So I guess you would have to really push merchandise in regards to shirts, singlets at really cheap prices. So again, where does the ultimate the finances come from? Where do they ultimately come from? If you can answer this question, I'm excited to see it because I'm a massive advocate for Papua New Guinea coming into the NRL. I just do not believe they're at the right time right now. One, player safety and fan safety, and that's exactly how I think, because I know I'll be one of the people for the Titans who do go to a game. I want to be able to enjoy the experience. I don't want to be, turning into what happens in England where, it's not safe and you have to stand in a specific section with security around you, which I don't know. Also security guards in Australia paid nothing, so they don't really give a shit. Papua New Guinea probably be the exact same, and they probably wouldn't give a shit anyway, right? So I just know how tense and fiery it could get. It could get very tense, and it could get very fiery. So I'm not necessarily sure about player safety specifically, however. Specifically fan safety. And tourism is a major part about why this team would be coming in, because they would be wanting the tourism to Port Moresby. Secondly, the financial impact on the rest of the NRL and other teams having to go there. But then again, it's a benefit over Western Australia, which would be costing more, realistically. I reckon Melbourne to Papua New Guinea probably would be closer than Melbourne to Perth. I could be wrong, though. I could be wrong. No, I think I am wrong. But, whatever. Financial impact on the rest of the NRL. Also, financial impact on Papua New Guinea in regards to sponsors, in regards to will they get the tourism? Will they have people who buy the jerseys? Will they have people that can, on a 10-year plan, go to every game? That's the biggest thing. I don't give a shit about the Dolphins for the next 4 years in regards to fan support, because you will get crowds at every single Dolphins game. That does not mean they have a great deal of fans, right? I want to put this out there for every single person. The Dolphins are going to have fantastic crowds for the next 4 to 5 years. That's going to mean jack shit to literally everybody until after about 10 years, because everyone loves watching a new thing, but it's the loyal fans and it's the people who stick around that matter, right? So give it a bad season or two, and then let's see how many people turn up to those Dolphins games, right? I know this video is about Papua New Guinea, but it's about to get to Papua New Guinea in that comparison, right? Because everyone in Papua New Guinea says they would go to every game, and I believe them. I do. I genuinely believe that everyone in Papua New Guinea would go and support their team, right? They would do it. But after they start losing a season, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, how long before it starts to fade? How long before that passion for a team starts to fade? I'm different. I'm a different breed. There are a lot of other people who are like me who do still go to games regardless of their team's performance. However, not everyone's like that, and the general consensus, look at everyone who says the Titans aren't a fan. We still have more than 50% of the rest of the league in regards to fan attendance at Seabus, right? You see me, you see Clarkey, you see a couple of people here and there publicly posting the Titans. But overall, we have a reputation for not having any fans, which is simply untrue, but it's a hard thing to get rid of, right? It just is. And because, some people see blue seats here and there, which you'll see empty seats at every single stadium, and a lot of them, every single stadium. You have a look at Accor, you have a look at Allianz. Allianz is the exact same, realistically. It's just that we saw 2 games where the Rabbitohs played the Roosters in basically finals football, yeah? Cowboys, heaps of empty seats there. Suncorp, heaps of empty seats there. So many places that have heaps of empty seats, right? But people look at the Gold Coast. This is my biggest question. Again, another big question, right? Will they be able to get the fan support to do the business in the bad times, not just the fresh times and the good times? Prove me wrong, Papua New Guinea, because I love you. I love Papua New Guinea. I want you to be successful. I want you in the NRL. Yes, granted, I do want Perth to come in first. I want Western Australia to come in first to make it a national competition. But please, prove me wrong. Get out there, support your team, right? I don't necessarily think you're going to be given this option. I don't think you're going to be coming into the NRL in the near future. But I do believe maybe 10, 15, 20 years down the track, we could definitely consider it. And I think that there is a major opportunity as well for a Pacifica team that could encapsulate, Fiji, Samoa, Tonga, because Samoa and Tonga are such massive parts of the game. Fiji, Samoa and Tonga, all 3 of them are so huge involvements in the game. You know, Fiji has stadiums here for the Super Rugby that we utilise in Suva, in Lautoka, in Singatoka, and also in Nadi. Yeah, Nadi will be improved. If we're starting to see this progression, I'm telling you, that's a good place to base their games out of. Or you could really improve the Nuku'alofa Stadium or the Apia Stadium, and then you could get that. But I think that's still 15, 20 years down the track, man. I'm sorry, but I think it's still down the track, and it's something that we can definitely reconsider later on. I don't believe the second New Zealand team is an opportunity right now. However, overall, guys, I will have another video that will come out eventually in a tier ranking system of most viable options for teams to be added in. So definitely wait around for that one. If you haven't already, guys, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new around here, smack that subscribe button. We've got massive team makers coming out of all players in every single position for the NRL. We've got breakout players coming. We've got Factual Cap. We've got streams coming. You know, we've got a heap of stuff just underway. So yeah, subscribe, get around it. It's going to be massive. Go into the comment section. Let me know your thoughts, man. This is a channel that I really do appreciate seeing everybody else's opinions. If I'm wrong, if I'm all over the place, then let me know, and I'm eager to hear it. But I will see you guys next time. I appreciate you as always. Thanks for watching. Catch you later. See ya.